All right, so now I'm excited because we are going to talk about the next group of words to talk about some pitch and other words that we really need to know for talking about the World Cup. And this could be for any soccer match, obviously. And actually, I just realized that maybe my sound isn't great. So there we go. Okay, deleted myself. So we're going to talk about a few different things, and I'm super excited because the World Cup this year is actually in Mexico, and that's where I'm living. So we're going to talk about really important words, 10 words to talk about what we call pitch and space. So this is going to be really helpful, I think, for anybody who loves soccer, right? Or if you're just into the hype of this year. So let's talk about those. What are those 10 words going to be? And there are 10 words that are specifically about this area. And I have a really easy way for you to remember these words so that you don't have to think about it when you're saying it or screaming it maybe as you're watching TV, or maybe you're here live with me in Mexico, which would be awesome. So these are the 10 words that we're going to go over, and let's do the first one. So you're going to see what I do is I put these little brackets here. That's called IPA. It's International Phonetic Alphabet. You can see at the top the word is spelled, in English, and then we've got this thing. So if you see symbols that are a little bit weird to you, don't worry, I'm going to explain them. So let's talk about this word. It's got some, it's got one syllable, right? So it's going to be like, oh, that's it. And it has a specific vowel that a lot of people get wrong. And it's because it's not in their language. It makes sense. So it's what we call short I. And it looks like, in the notation, it looks like a little small capital I. That's its name. Small cap I or short I. And it sounds like what? Relax your lips. So it's what we call and open your jaw a little bit. Tongue in the front. This is the one that people are trying to swear often, and they'll say beach, but that's not what they mean to say, or sheet, or peace, but no, relax your lips. This is the one that people are trying to swear often, and they'll say pitch, but that's not what they mean to say, or and now for that consonant, it kind of looks like there's two together. And we have three of them. We have the explosion at the beginning, which is just air coming out. My two lips are stopping the air. My tongue is already at the bottom. And we have three of them. We have the there's no voicing at first until I get to that vowel, which is just air coming out. My two lips are stopping the air. And then this last thing, we call it one sound, but it looks like two together. And that's because I need to stop the air and then create some friction. So it starts with a little, almost like a T, but I don't release the air, so my tongue is up here. And then I go to friction. Stop the air. It's like as in be quiet, almost like a T, with a little T before it, as in chocolate. Sorry, I did that wrong. I voiced it. Pitch. Notice that last one is also unvoiced, so I'm turning my vocal folds off and on here. That's the trick with that one. Pitch. Pitch. You can feel the air coming out with the P. Watch that short I sound, and then you stop it and give some friction. Pitch. If you're a fan of American baseball, by the way, this is that thing that they do, that the pitcher does as well. So could be a useful word for you if you're into sports, right? Now, this is the thing. When you're with me, either live, and by the way, ask any questions you want, guys, as we're here, because I'm going to be keeping an eye on the comment section, on the chat box, I should say, and then I'm going to be able to respond to something that you have to say. And that's kind of the point for me for going live, is that I'm actually able to answer your questions first thing. So it's really important to me. What is my point, though? Go slow first. You might think, oh my God, I want to speak fast. And me too, in my other languages, in French and Spanish and Arabic, a little bit that I speak, right? I'm from the Northeast. I'm from Philly, New York, and I'm a fast speaker in general in English, and I want to do that in my other languages too. So I totally get it. But we want muscle memory. So go slow with me. Why? So that you become smooth. Because when you're smooth, then you can go fast as you want. You don't get all tongue-tied, anything like that, right? So let's keep going then. Slow is smooth, and smooth is fast. Repeat after me. Slow is smooth, and smooth is fast. This is so important, right? So here we go. Now, the next one is going to be difficult. Well, not difficult. I don't want to say difficult. It's going to be interesting because it's got two words that are put together. It's what we call a compound noun.
The next one.
We could use this as a verb as well, and you might see some markings that you haven't. So it's really two syllables because it's two single syllable words put together, and you say, okay, well, which one wins then? If I see this upper mark on the top, that means that's my primary stress, and if I see this lower mark down here, then that's my secondary stress. So I'm not going all the way down to zero. It's going to be sideline, 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 not sideline. Not going all the way down. It's secondary stress. And compound words can be tricky because we don't always know, like, is it going to be the primary? Is it going to be the secondary? Is there secondary? Sometimes there isn't. So there's a lot of things here. Tip of the iceberg. But sometimes we also call it touch line. I think Americans are more used to that. And so sideline or touch line, whichever way, is good for you. So let's look at more specifically. We said two syllables. We said there's a stress thing to think about. Now the vowel, we call that a diphthong. Diphthong means there's two vowels kind of smashed together. In this case, it's ah. My tongue is in the middle. Ah, like in most languages, they're a. Ah, and then I move forward to that short I again. I, side, and then guess what? It's again in the second one, line. So tongue in the middle, tongue forward. Now for the first word, I start with that S we just mentioned, friction. Right there on the bump, side, and then my tongue goes down in the middle, forward, side, and then it goes back to the bump, to the D, to release the air. D, 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 side, 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 and then right where the D is, again on that bump, I have the L. La 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 la. Side. You might feel the air escaping out the sides of your tongue. Totally normal. That's awesome. Side, side, back to the bottom. Front, side, lie. And then where's the N? The bump again, right here. But what's different? Put your tongue up there, but then you're going to let the air out your nose. Front, side, lie. And then where's the N? Sideline, sideline. A lot of action right on the bump there. Sideline, sideline, sideline. It's our number 2 word today, but it's already pretty complicated. Sideline, sideline. Next one, 2 words. I'm going to separate them because we might say it as one thing, or we might say it as determining which line we're talking about, right? We might be correcting somebody. The sideline, no, the goal line. So I separated these two. And we might see them together. Sometimes that happens with compound words. We see them apart. Sometimes we see them hyphenated. Sometimes we see them smashed all the way together. So just for today, I'm going to put them apart. So that's why how I found it in the dictionary. That's why. So we've got 2 syllables, but we're going to call them 2 different words. And we've already done that second vowel, right? I, forward from the middle. Now we're going to do the diphthong in the first word. Is my tongue is going to be in the back for both of them. So, I need to only move my jaw in this case. I. In the other case, I need to move my tongue as well. So watch those diphthongs. They could be a transition and a combination of 3 things. It could be, number 1, the jaw height, like we just saw. Number 2, the tongue moving, like we've seen before. And also, there might be some lip action involved there. So whenever you see 2 vowels together, and I don't mean the spelling, I mean in this IPA, which tells us the pronunciation, pay attention when there's 2. What do I need to move? What do I need to transition into? So we've done a lot on this bump, right? We're going to come back to those L's and that N, but you might notice that there's this little L with what we call a tilde in the middle, and that is called a dark L. You might even have heard the word but didn't know that that was actually the symbol for it. So there's 2 different L's here. It's the la la la, which we just did for la 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 line. All those sounds we've already done. La 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 line, go la 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 line. Now there's a difference between those 2. I'm just checking if there's any comments. There's a difference between those 2. So I've got that dark L, right? And that is not la 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 on the bump. That's with the back and the way back of my tongue is doing the action there. So, oh,
dark L.
oh, oh. That's what we call a dark L. Goal line. Some people are not going to take the care to do both kinds of L's together because now they've got like this one word and they're smashing it together. But if you can, I would encourage you to like practice that, right? Goal, because you're going to say that word as well. Goal, and it's other words too, like well. We just talked about goal, line, line. So we've done all of those, except for that G sound. Now we're talking about tongue in the back for that dark L. There's a lot of consonants where the tongue is active in the back, and this is one of them. The G sound, as in go, or goal in this case. See if you can feel where it is. Should be in the back as well, lifting up that G. It's going up there. But notice that your vocal folds are activated for this one. I'm lifting my tongue up. I'm creating some stoppage of the air, and then I'm releasing it. My tongue is in the back for the O. I'm just moving my jaw then. Go. Line. Goal line. Smooth and then fast. Goal line. Right. By the way, if this is helpful to you, then you must not miss my free accent masterclass every month. And they're not always the same every time, it's different. Totally free. I want to get people interested in my nerdy passion as well, and I want to invite you to my community. So you can only see it inside the community, totally free, but I want people to join the community because I want to see who's enthusiastic like me about accents. So there's a whole bunch of different topics. We rotate through them. Plus, I'll ask for volunteers. You can just kind of raise your digital hand, get on stage with me, and I'll be giving you feedback right then and there so you can see actually what it's like. So, of course, you're going to find that link down in the description. That's just joining the community. Then you'll see the events, right? So, easy peasy. Next one. Again, 2 words. We got this thing together, and we're thinking, is it a kind of area or is it its own thing? That's going to kind of affect how I stress these words, right? And so I've got, actually, first word has 3 syllables, second word has 2, 6 syllables total. I'm sorry, each one has 3. 3 and 3. So it's da 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 da. Da da da. In this case, it's this first syllable that's also stressed each time. Da 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 da. But then how I stress the whole words depends on, am I thinking, is it a kind of area? Or am I thinking it's its own thing? And that's a whole other can of worms that we can talk about later. So, what are the vowels? 3 new ones that we haven't seen today, but if you've been following my videos, you have probably experienced these vowels, right? 2 of them are what we call front vowels, and 1 is what we call a center vowel. So I've got the all right, my jaw is pretty far open. My tongue is in the front. 2 of them are what we call front vowels, and then the one that's in most languages, it's E. So it's my jaw is pretty far open. My tongue is in the front. 2 of them are what we call front vowels, and then the one that's in most and then hold on.
languages,
So it's penalty. Penalty. You might say, hey, I kind of hear a vowel between that N and the L. If you do, it's this one that we call schwa, right? And we say sometimes it kind of sneaks in there. It didn't show up in the dictionary, so I didn't copy it in there. But if you hear it, don't deny that. That's probably the case. Penalty. I hear it too, but I want to present what's actually in the dictionary. So we've got penalty, and then one thing is we're gonna recycle that in there, and then we're gonna do that schwa. If you don't know what schwa is already, super important. In fact, the most important sound in English, and the tongue is gonna be in the middle, and then your lips are relaxed and your jaw is just partly open. So it's super important. In fact, very different from in English. And in this case, they're together in one of what we call those diphthongs, right? So it's area. What's actually happening? Tongue was in the front, jaw was pretty open, jaw closes, tongue pulls to the middle. Air. And then I have another. Can we say it's diphthong? Yes, there's two together, but we separate the syllables. So it's E again, E. Tongue is forward, smiling, E, the one that's in most languages. Then in the middle again. So E, two together, but we separate the syllables. So it's E, two diphthongs in that one word. We got this whole compound thing going on, 6 syllables total. Penalty area, penalty area. Now, I know R's are tricky, but let's start with that P because we already know it. No voicing. Remember, N on the bump, through the nose. Pen. I go directly to that L. It's that regular L. Penal. Again, you can feel the sides of the tongue kind of opening up so that the air can escape. Null. Penal. We know that T explodes air. On the bump, T. Penalty. Now, in the second word, we only have the one consonant, which is the R. And in English, if you don't know, we have 2 kinds of R's. We have what we call regular R, and then we have vocalic R after a vowel, like we see here. So we've got this kind of R is actually me going, touching the sides of the tongue right there. Vocalic R after a vowel, like we see here. So we've got, so after a vowel, that's the kind of R that I want. Air, lift the tongue, touch the molars. Air, tongue back in the front. E to the middle. Area. There we go. Guys, thank you so much for joining me live. This is fantastic. I'm just going to check and see if there's any comments that we need to talk about yet. And if I miss it, please forgive me because I'm trying to do 12,000 things all at once. Guys, thank you so much for joining me live. This is fantastic. I was looking for, here we go. Okay. An echo sound. Yeah, thank you for telling me that in the beginning. I think it should be okay now. Tell me again if we didn't take care of it, but that's because I had the sound wired wrong. So yes, tell me if it's still there. Because it's been a while. Yay, thank you. Ido is here. Yay. And now I can see the chat box, so this is perfect. Secondary stress is important in the word sideline. Yes, exactly. And again, these compound words can be tricky because sometimes I'm saying like a kind of a thing, an adjective and then a noun, and sometimes I'm saying, hey, this is all one thing together. And you're going to hear that word stress slightly different. And when we say primary and secondary stress, we're talking about the syllables themselves, right? That doesn't change. Those stay the same unless it's this compound word thing, and then you have to kind of case-by-case basis. You have to take a look. So guys, thank you so much for participating. If you happen to not be here today and you're watching this as a replay, I'm just looking at the comments. But let's look at the next one. One of my favorite words, not just related to like World Cup or soccer stuff, no, but a word we use pretty often. It's one of those high frequency words, especially if I'm moving from one house to another. But also it's a kind of a target word or a head word that we use specifically for vowels. Now in this guy there's only one syllable here. Super simple. But this A sound, I call it an A sound. I know it's written with the letter O, but very often this O is this ah sound. Look at how open my jaw is. Ah. You probably can't see it, but my tongue is way in the back. So box, And I know that this sound is not, or this vowel sound is not in most languages. So what happens when people are making a mistake, their tongue is usually kind of sliding forward because that's the A that they have, right? So make sure that you've got three different A sounds. One where your tongue is in the middle, one now where your tongue is in the back, box, as in box, and the other one would be the tongue is in the front. We haven't seen it yet today, but it's as in bat, like we were saying about baseball. You'd have a bat, my tongue is in the front there. So in English we have at least three kind of, I'm calling them A sounds because we can often write them with the letter A. But here it's written with the letter O. And the letter O, guys, is the trickiest, I think, spelling vowel in English, or for spelling concerns, because it can be like 10 different sounds. But, that's going to be a whole nother video. And guys, if you ever have questions about this kind of thing, like, you can always ask inside the community. So let's look at the consonants here. We saw the P before. And guys, if you ever have questions about this kind of thing, like, right, that's air. I'm exploding it with my two lips. It's called bilabial. That sound. We said we weren't voicing. So do the exact same thing now for a B. B as in my name, Bianca. Lips, exploding air. But now I'm voicing too. What's my tongue doing during the B? Nothing. So it can go ahead and go right in the back. Here's a little trick for you. Whenever you see the letter S, not whenever, 90% of the time, when you see the letter X, it's actually two sounds, right? So it's a K sound and an S. And we mentioned that G earlier, G as in go or goal. Remember, it was in the back, right? It was in the back. G. It was voiced. Take that voicing away, keep your tongue in the same place, make the same explosion, you've got the K. So I've got b, ba, ba, take that voicing away, keep your tongue in the same place. And then we've done the S before. Where does the S land? Tongue tip in the front, right on the bump. Creating friction. So I've got an X is actually K-S. Nice and fast. Explode the air, then give friction in the front. So I've got an box. You think, it's just three letters, such a simple word. And we're breaking it down, and it's like, wow, I can really I can feel this. I never paid attention before, right? I used to just talk. But actually, that kind of randomness that we learned in school, maybe, or when we learned that other language, just picking it up, I didn't really think about it. I don't know about you, but even in my native language, I wasn't thinking about my tongue when I was a kid learning words, right? But so what I want you to do is learn to do it in this method, right? Always. Don't be random about it. Don't just talk. Just pause and pay a little more attention. It doesn't cost you a dime. It doesn't cost any money to just think, where's my tongue? Am I voicing? How open is my jaw? What are my lips doing? Right? I have a whole methodology for you to do. The important thing is to think about thinking about it. Think about thinking about it. That's what I wanted to say. What a fun sound we've got in English that you don't have in other ones. A lot of people focus on the THs or the Rs because they don't have them, but they forget about this NG here. And I love it because it's really fun. Today we've been talking already a lot about the kind of back of the mouth sounds, and here's a really good one. So look at the spelling. It's N and G, but I don't say g, right? In the front, in the back. I don't say g, right? No, it's a different sound altogether, and it's two letters, but it's one sound. So how do I articulate that sound? Well, if you don't know, you're going to do N and G probably. That's not what I want. Think about that back of the tongue, lifting up. Remember the K sound? But it's one back there in the G. So how do I articulate? Go even farther back, just a little, right? That's not what I want. Think about that back of the tongue, lifting up as far as you can. That's probably the farthest sound back that we have. And this is also a nasal, so the air is going to go out your nose.
Just a little.
You can test that. What is the tip of my tongue doing? Nothing. If I'm doing it right, I can do it like this.
So the air is going to go out your nose.
Right? I'm getting ahead of myself because I was so excited about that. But it's got one syllable, like we said. It's got one vowel. We've already seen it. It's that short I. Tongue is in the front. Lips are relaxed. Now, I said, okay, the next sound, the NG sound is in the back, so I go from the front.
One syllable, like we said. It's got one vowel. We've already seen it. It's that short I. Tongue is in the front.
Not in, like in my house. No. The tongue tip is not here. It's in, everything is in the back.
So I go from the front.
And then it goes out my nose. And I'm spending time on this because how many verbs do you see that have the ing ending? All of these are transferable skills, right? You can take that short I and say, now I know how to do it. Every time I see it, I can make it better, right? This NG thing, you can totally transform all of your verbs and a lot of adjectives, right? We use INGs on adjectives too, like disgusting. Ugh, that's disgusting. Right, now I've got a really good NG. Another favorite consonant that I have, you might think, W's. Why are W's so cool? Well, W's are cool because two reasons. Number one, they're what we call semi-vowels, so they kind of ride the fence between consonants and vowels. And then number two, they're co-articulated, so I need to do two things at the same time if I'm thinking about it as a consonant. Number one, round my lips. And then like the vowel oo as in boot, right? Think about it; they're kind of related. Ooh, and that W sound. But the back of my tongue is doing something similar to the NG. I had Now for my W, my lips are rounded in the front, and I've got the back of my tongue is doing something. I'm creating just a little bit of friction in the far back there. So my lips are rounded in the front. And it's not like you might not have a W in your language, but again, we stop, we think about it, the articulation, we increase the muscle memory and those neural connections. We go slow so that we can be smooth, and when we're smooth, we can be as fast as we want. So, tongue is in the back. It's got to come forward for the wing. Don't forget to put the air out your nose at the end. So, wing. Not win. We don't want to mix those up, especially now for this, right? I've got the position of the wing, but I want to win the game. That's the tip of my tongue. Fabulous. So, I really like this word too. Remember that A we just mentioned, that kind of forward A? We're gonna bring that back around again. But I did see somebody wrote down that their favorite word is, that's not on my list today, but it will be in another one, I can tell you. Fair and play, put them together. That's another compound word that we were just talking about, right? World Cup match. We're going to go through all these words. If you missed my first video, this is only week 2 of I think we've got 10 or 12 weeks of this. But getting ready for the World Cup, all these words. And if you have more on your list, send them to me and we'll put them on a video, or just come in the community and just send me a voice note and ask me these things, right? W in this equation. Interesting. I'm reading double and then U, but W, right? Like this, W. If I go back to that last one, I love that W sound for me for English. One of my other favorites is this A that we mentioned earlier. I call it a front open A, because why? Your tongue is in the front, your jaw is way open. And if your A's are coming out a little funny, one of those is the problem, or both. Your tongue's not far enough in the front, or your jaw is not wide enough open. So, because why? Your open up, in the front, your jaw is tongue in the front, way open. We've only got one syllable here, so I didn't feel like it was worth mentioning. But we've got the open up sound. And if you got that, that's awesome. You might also notice something we call allophonic variation. Variation in this sound. So if you're ever listening and you're like, yeah, I think that's but it sounds a little weird here. Look at the sound after it, because often if I have an and then a nasal sound, and we've seen two nasals today, N and NG, the other one is M, we only have three. If any of those is after the sound, you might hear that it's a little bit different, and that's the case here because we have and then the NG, right? So why does this happen? I'm so open, and then directly after I have to put the air in my nose, so my jaw likes to close up kind of as quick as it can. It kind of alters the sound a little bit. So as in hat or bat. Now listen to how I say it. Flank. Flank. I'm way over articulating here because a lot of people when they say it fast, it's flank, flank, flank. Almost sounds like an sound sometimes. So try to keep it open as much as you can. We've got our with a nasal. Then we've got some consonants that we've seen before. We've got the regular L, so in the front, la 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 la. We've got the NG in the back, and stick around back there and do the K.
Then we've got some consonants that we've seen before. We've got the regular L, so in the front, la 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 la. We've got the NG in the back, and stick around back there and do the K.
And we start with the lank, flank. Why do I hold that F until the end? Well, my tongue was doing some work. But the F, like the P, like the B, doesn't include the tongue. What does it include? Not all languages have an F, but most do. So stop and think about it if you do. It's really the bottom of the teeth,
like the P,
and then the top of that bottom lip.
What does it include? Not all languages
creating friction right there.
So stop and think about it if you do. It's really the
no tongue needed. So really, my tongue can be ready and waiting up on that bump, right? I've got fl,
friction right there.
fl. My consonant cluster can sound better if I stop and think about that. Then I can get it to be automatic after a while. And then I have another cluster. Luckily, they're in the same place, so it's not actually a lot of work, this one.
My consonant cluster can sound better if I stop and think about that. Then I can get it to be automatic after a while. And then I have another cluster.
Flank. Don't forget to open that jaw up, too, so you get a really nice sound in there. Flank, flank, flank. Woo, we're getting there. Doing great now. So what, you've probably seen it, but let's stop and actually say, what are we doing? We're doing, first, we always do syllables. We always think, how many other words? How many of them are? I see there's a question in the chat box. Let me talk about these three things first. Syllables first, syllables first, syllable first, because it's the music, it's the background, and if we don't catch that music, we're going to be distracted. So always syllables first. Then we said vowels, 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 partly because in English, I don't have to tell you the spelling is terrible. We have only 5 vowels that we write, but we have like 20 plus sounds that we say, and that's why I use this IPA, so we can see exactly which vowel it should be, right? That's why vowels next, because they're really difficult in English. And then we do the consonants. A lot of people start with consonants. No. I say start with syllables, then do vowels, then do consonants, because that's where we start with where the most mistakes could be and the most miscommunication. We fix that first. Consonants are last, because we saw there's a couple that we don't have in other languages. Cool, we can learn those, but a lot of it is the same among languages, right? So fabulous. Watch out for those clusters, as we said, right? Those can be a little bit tricky, and they can result in connected speech. So here we go. Before we do this next one, I see in the chat box that somebody's asking about the word T-A-N-K, right? And we just did F-L-A-N-K, so that last bit will be the same. And isn't it funny? Because we saw the word W-I-N-G, and I saw the N-G, and I thought, tongue in the back. I didn't see F-L-A-N-G-K, and I don't see T-A-N-G-K. but it's still that sound, right? So it's not exactly consistent. So tank, tank is going to be the same ending part as flank, flank, tank. Somebody's asking about tank in the comments. Since we're on the subject, tank is not a very common word, I guess, unless you're at war currently. But add an H in there, THANK. That is a highly frequent word. I'm hoping we're being polite and saying it every day.
I guess unless you're at war currently.
Thank.
Add an H in there.
Thank, tank, flank, exactly. Make a list of these rhyming words, and you can drill, and that's going to increase muscle memory, for sure. Repetition creates muscle memory, and then we get to automaticity. So here we go. We got number 8. Keep those questions coming, no problem, in the chat box. I'll read them out loud for people who are not watching this live, or maybe watching it as a replay. Number 8, we've got CENTER, and we know these letter C's can be kind of like K sounds, they can be kind of S sounds, right? There's some variation there. Here's the S sound, and as you can see, I've got first syllable stress. I've got 2 syllables now, right? We've done both of these vowels, tongue in the front, open jaw. Then we said tongue in the middle for that schwa. Looks like that rotated E. It's so important. In fact, that's like my logo. So the schwa sound. So it's my jaw was open. My tongue goes in the middle. Also, my jaw is closing up a bit. Center, right? I know it's letter C, but we're going to do that S again. Tongue on the bump, causing friction. Tongue is there, then it goes down. Goes back up for the N. Air out the nose.
It's letter C, but we're going to do that S again. Tongue.
Then we're on the bump again for the T. Release.
Tongue is there, then it goes down. Goes back up for the N. Air out the nose.
Scent. And then we had the schwa, tongue in the middle.
Bump again for the T.
R is what? After a vowel here. After the vowel. So I just lift and put the tongue sides of my molar. Your tongue should lift and touch. Center. Center. I think it's funny how the tongue starts in the front and goes to the what? Center. Haha. Ching. Always having fun. Okay, before we finish though, I have something really important to tell you. Now that we're doing a little bit of IPA, you might be able to pick up on this. Take a second. See if you can figure out what this says. See if you can read this. So I like it as a little test. If you start to pick up on this, even if you can guess, you're probably awesome enough to join in the community. And it's not anything that's highly participatory. You can just hang out and see what people are posting, participate once in a while. You can just hang out and see what happens. Join my community though. If this is at all interesting to you, why not? It's totally free, and it's people all over the world doing this same thing, right? So you can ask these questions that you might not be able to ask your other friends, or share something you find interesting. Often we'll get posts like, oh my gosh, did you hear this person's accent? Or, here's Keira Knightley talking about this new role she's doing and this voice that she's putting on. For example, we'll post stuff, we have podcasts, all kinds of fun stuff. So, again, down in the chat box, description, you're going to find the link to join the community. Join up, then you're going to get the masterclasses for free and all the other fun stuff. So, 2 more we've got. Love it. Again, love this sound too. We started with one similar in the beginning. If you remember, we said ch, ch, ch. Remember that one? We're going to see something like it again. Just one syllable. Here's that
Love it.
Again today. Tongue in the front, mostly open. Not in a lot of languages. You have something that's a little more closed, most of you guys. But we are opening the jaw a little bit more. More than you feel comfortable with, probably. Now, remember that ch. Do the exact same thing, but we're going to voice it. J. J. And what was that again? It's kind of a combination of 2 things. before it was T and sh.
Now, remember that do the exact same thing that we're going to voice.
Now, what's the difference between a T
and what was that
and a
again?
D?
It's kind of a combination of
Nothing except the
Before it was
voicing. So still put
T
your tongue on the bump right here
Now, remember that
and voice it d, d, d as you explode.
What's the difference between
D,
a T
d. What if I take that sound and I voice it? I get
on the bump right here.
so d,
And
j,
voice it
d, d,
Now,
d,
What's the difference between
edge,
a T? What if I take that sound
edge, edge,
I get
j as in juice, j as in January, j as in jeans, edge, 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 edge. Repetition, 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 nice and slow, then go smooth, go as fast as you want after that. Ooh, here we go. Here's another diphthong. We've done at least 3 today, more than 3. We did a couple of difficult ones, but we had O in the back. We had I moving to the front.
Here we go.
And then this one is going to be great. There's only one syllable here too. Keep your tongue in the front and then close your jaw. A, A, A,
Moving to the
A.
front. Here we go. And then
Before that, I had my S. I'm also going to end with my S, and I'm going to have that
keep your tongue in the front
in the middle. So
and then close your jaw. Before that, I had my
space, end with an S, space, I should say, I'm making a mistake right now. Maybe you heard it. I'm saying no, I should say sp. A lot of times we'll do that because there's no voicing.
I should say, I'm making a mistake right now.
End is
Maybe you heard it.
but the vowels in the middle are voiced. All vowels are voiced. So
I should say
space.
A lot of times we'll do that
Space.
because
I shouldn't be adding the voicing until the vowels. Even I make mistakes in here. So
but the vowels in the middle are voiced. All vowels are voiced. So I should say
space. I'm letting out that air with the P, and then I'm starting to voice. Woo! That's kind of a tough one. Voicing is a tricky one, I think, to do. But think about that word, space, right? In that word, I say that word quite a lot. Like we said, the word box, highly frequent, right? So sometimes words like what were they like? Penalty. I don't say it that often, you know. So there's low frequency words that we don't use very often, and then there's high frequency words, right? There's words that we use a lot and not so much. And there's a question in the chat box. I'm going to do that in a quick second. But just to say that there's a lot of things that maybe we learned them wrong, we never learned them well to begin with, words that are tricky for different reasons, right? But most people, when they come to me, clients, they're like, they don't even know that they've been saying things wrong for years, right? And they're like, no, really? Yeah, I hate to tell you that that's a word you're using all the time and you're doing it wrong. So what did I find? We had to back up and kind of relearn a lot of the words. And they're like, no. With many people, I thought, you know what, this is ridiculous. Why don't I just make a training where people can fix their own mistakes? They don't need me to do this, right? They just need a little explanation, and that's why I do this. So if you are like I don't even know what I'm saying wrong. I don't even know what I don't know. Am I saying these things wrong? I don't know. People aren't telling me. But you know what? Let's take the most common words there are and let's just fix all of them. So I created this special training, and you don't have to show up or anything like that. It's purely by email. So you're going to open your email anyways every day, right? So why not for the next year, just take 2 minutes a day. And when you open your email, you're going to have one word. That's it. Just one word a day. Let's take the word box. And I'm going to tell you, oh yes, remember this part is voiced. This is the air. Keep your tongue in the back, right? Oh, and X is really these 2 sounds. It's like a 2-minute video every day. And you're going to start at the most important words, and then you're going to go down for a year. That's 365 days of the most important words you say. So if you go through this, you're already going to increase your pronunciation and articulation perfection so much higher, right? So you're going to get rid of a lot of those things. And I couldn't stop there. Couldn't stop there. I said, okay, so there's words, word of the day,
and articulation.
and then I thought, well, a lot of people, you know, they want to work on their rhythm and intonation. So how about once a week we send out a monologue, and people can practice that monologue, and there'll be a theme like, oh, this month we're working on connected speech, and this month it's intonation, right? I tell you exactly what to focus on for a monologue every Monday, and every Tuesday you're going to get a tongue twister. It's actually kind of a long story to really work your articulation and not just one word. So every week, every day, you're getting an email. I'm going to add to this. I'm sure I'm not going to be able to stop at that. I want to do minimal pairs, like we said, sheet and the other one to practice that short I, for example. So if the way that I teach is helpful to you, then just start with this training. You can just keep doing this every day. You don't even need me. You're going to have me. You're going to have a video of me. And then you're going to join the community so that then you can ask questions, follow-up questions to make sure that, you know, everything is landing correctly. Right. So I've got 2 more words here in the chat box, and two more questions. Center, C-E-N-E-R. Oh, I think I know what this person is saying. We talked about the word maybe C-E-N-T-E-R, and so some people say center, and you're like, hey, they're dropping that T. Well, I can tell you that's a whole different thing. There's 4 different possible ways, 4 variations that we can do on T's, and people don't often hear it and they say, oh, they're just dropping it. Not exactly dropping it. So post that question in the community, join the community, we'll talk about it. It's something that keeps coming up every time, and it needs a good 10 minutes of explanation. So I'm happy to answer that, but let's keep this conversation going elsewhere too. And the other one, the NT, like we said, T's have 4 variations. Often when I stick an N with that, it kind of like makes it more interesting, let's say. And it's funny that NT is popping up now because I just did a masterclass on this not long ago. But yeah, you can ask me anytime. It's kind of a long answer, so send me a message, put it in the comments, find me in the community. I'm happy to answer all these questions. But for today, for the live, let's cut it off there. We've got the top 10 words that you need specifically for these, and I'll just go through those again, right? Pitch, sideline, goal line, penalty area, box, wing, flank, center, I'm over-articulating, center, edge, and space, right? So these are the top 10 words that you're going to need for specifically talking about what I'm going to have little topics every day. The pitch and the space, right? So the area of play that we're talking about. So every week, every Saturday, join me live. We're going to be talking about World Cup stuff because it's in Mexico right now, and I'm living in Mexico. So I've got themes, and if you have other words in the meantime, just send them to me, guys. So I'm super excited, and I cannot wait to talk to you next week live. And if not, between then, I will see you in the community. So thanks, everybody, and have an excellent day. And thank you so much for joining me. Bye, guys. See you soon.